Now that the Taliban have completed their takeover of Afghanistan, they've renamed it the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan. The big questions that everyone is asking but nobody knows any answers to is, what is this new Talibanistan going to look like? What kind of government? Who's the boss? Where does the buck stop? What is the formula of the law that will be applied in this country? Is it going to be very different from what it was like when the Taliban was last in power back in 1996 to 2001? Here's a deep look, an exclusive inside look at the blueprint of the new Taliban Raj. The takeover is complete. They've secured the streets. They've captured the airports. They've harvested all the weapons and aircraft. They've quelled even the smallest protests. And now they're ready to rule Afghanistan, to impose their will on a war-weary people. But beyond the smoke and noise of Afghanistan's collapse into the hands of the Taliban, one must ask, what is Talibanistan going to look like? Reuters gets you the most detailed inside view on what Taliban Raj will actually be like. The first question, who will be president?
The head of the council, as you call the president, we would call that Rais al-Wazara, or the head of the council. And we will have ministers. All the ministers would be appointed by this council and by the head of the council. Amir al-Mu'mineen is our leader, religious leader. He wouldn't play the role of president. He would play more prominent role. We will have a person, or maybe his deputy would play the role of president.
In other words, definitely not a democracy. The Taliban makes it explicit that religion will pervade their governance and politics, and the Taliban's supreme leader, Haibatullah Akhundzada, will likely have the last word on Taliban Raj. The power structure that Hashimi outlines bears similarities to how Afghanistan was run the last time the Taliban were in power from 1996 to 2001. Then the supreme leader, Mullah Omar, remained in the shadows and left the day-to-day running of the country to this religious council. The Taliban's supreme leader has three deputies: Maulavi Yaqub, son of Mullah Omar, Sirajuddin Haqqani, leader of the powerful militant Haqqani network, and Abdul Ghani Baradar, who heads the Taliban's political office in Doha. The next big question, any changes in the country's laws?
The system of the government is clear. That is an Islamic government. Sharia law would be, of course, there would be no democratic system at all, because it doesn't have any base in our country. That is, we are working on in Afghanistan. Our leadership in Qatar, they all are working on it.
We've reported here on India Today that the Taliban has harvested huge stocks of aircraft and weapons from the disintegrating Afghan National Army. But who'll operate all these armaments and fly these planes?
About previous army and military, that is collapsed, finished. So now if we want to hire them and bring them back to this rank, so definitely we will call them, and we need them because they have high training. Most of them got training in Turkey and Germany and England, so we need them, and we will call them to get back to their positions.
One of the most heated questions has been the fate of women under Taliban Raj, while nobody is buying the Taliban's assurances yet.
We are Muslims. People in Afghanistan, 99.999% are Muslims, and they believe in Islam. When you believe in a law, so definitely you should apply that law. Our ulama will decide whether girls are allowed to go to school or not, one. Second, they will decide whether they should wear hijab, burqa, or only veil, plus abaya or something, or not.
With plans in place, the world gets ready to watch Taliban Raj roll out once again. Remember, during their 1996 to 2001 rule, the Taliban stopped women from working, girls were not allowed to go to school and women had to wear burqas to go out, and then only when accompanied by a male relative. Those who broke any rules sometimes suffered humiliation and public beatings by the Taliban's religious police. The first few days of Taliban Raj inspire no confidence, but with the world's biggest superpower now out of the way, the new rulers of Afghanistan have a plan. Bureau Report, India Today. Well, they've got an incoming religious council that's going to govern Afghanistan, and you've got Bitatullah Baradar, who's going to be one of the leaders there, the deputy leaders. You've got Akhundzada, who's going to be the bigger leader. He's going to be the de facto president, even though not called the president, the new Mullah Omar, as you were, of the Taliban Raj in Afghanistan. But what about Abdul Ghani? Amidst this ongoing crisis in Afghanistan in the wake of the Taliban takeover, ousted Afghan President Ashraf Ghani, Ashraf Ghani, has broken his silence, defending his decision to flee the country by saying he fled to avoid bloodshed. It has led to a huge political furor, both in Afghanistan as well as in the United States. Take a look.
He was the man tasked with defending Afghanistan, to serve as a bulwark against advancing Taliban forces. Mohammad Ashraf Ghani Ahmadzai, the president who fled his country as the Taliban surged. Many blame him for being the single biggest contributor to Afghanistan's stunning fall. Reports suggested that he fled a chaotic Kabul with 4 cars and a chopper full of cash. Now, after 4 days, Ashraf Ghani has resurfaced. He released a video in United Arab Emirates where he and his family have been given shelter on humanitarian grounds. He defended his move to leave Afghanistan as being aimed at averting bloodshed.
If I had stayed, I would have been witnessing bloodshed in Kabul. When it comes to the political leadership of the Taliban, it was a failure on their part and a failure on our part that the negotiations did not lead to anything.
Ashraf Ghani rubbished allegations that he took $169 million in hard cash from the state funds. He claimed that there was no time to even change his shoes while leaving. But not many are buying into his claims. First to attack him was former US President Donald Trump, who went ahead and called him a crook.
I never had a lot of confidence, frankly, in Ghani. I said that openly and plainly. I thought he was a total crook. I thought he got away with murder. He spent all his time whining and dining our senators. I mean, the senators were in his pocket. That was one of the problems that we had, but I never liked him. And I guess based on his escape with cash, I don't know, maybe that's a true story. I would suspect it is.
Ashraf Ghani has also been bitterly criticized by his former ministers for having abandoned the Afghans. Afghan media organizations have revealed a list of 52 people close to Ghani who fled with him from Kabul to the United Arab Emirates. Ghani's actions are in stark contrast to his deputy, Vice President Amrullah Saleh, who chose to stay on in Panjshir, declaring himself as the interim president and planning a fight back against the Taliban. Bureau Report, India Today.
And while most other Indian media are merely covering what's happening in Afghanistan, not only is India Today asking the questions of the Taliban, but we're getting you the stories from that country that nobody has the guts or the resources to do. India Today is actually grilling the new leadership of the Taliban in Afghanistan. Our reporter on the ground in Kandahar questioned the top 2 Taliban leaders, Khairullah Khairkhwah and Abdul Salam Hanafi, on the Afghanistan future and their brutal rule. Take a look.
9 members political forum of the Taliban has reached Afghanistan. They entered first to the Kandahar, which is the main city of Taliban where it got its birth. Then they proceeded to the Kabul. Headed by Maulana Baradar Abdul Ghani, the delegation has made it clear that they are with its word what they have announced. So far, they have clearly said that they are announcing amnesty for all and will protect not only the Afghans but in fact all the civilians who are inside the Afghanistan from different countries. Today or tomorrow, the final shape of the Taliban government will be formed and it will be clear that who is going to head the Afghanistan. So far, India Today is only the channel which has got first reaction from the high-profile political bureau of Taliban in Kandahar.
Pardon all Afghan officials who went against us. No one is our enemy from now on. We hope people realize this.
هیچ افغان هم په دغه تصور نه په ذهن نه په سترګو ویني چې هغه څه د دښمنۍ احساس وکړي.
این جای خیلی خوشحالی است که ما بعد از بسیار وقت
It is a happy occasion. We are back in our nation after long.
امروز یک هیئت عالی امارت اسلامی افغانستان از دفتر
Happy that all cities are under our control.
برهبری
Will ensure respect for all Afghan officials.
اینجا همچنانی که برادر ما فرمودن واقعا
Won't destroy livelihoods, won't take land.
ما همشهریان خود را الحمدلله اینجا می‌بینیم و
Don't flee Afghanistan out of fear. Urge those who fled Afghanistan to come back.
خاص طرف ما مردم عفو عمومی اعلان شده است. ما می‌خواهیم هیچ کس باید
Everyone will get entitled dues.
کسایی که رفتند هم بیایند به وطن خود بیایند بشینند در خانه‌شان.
Lots of sacrifices to build Afghanistan of today.
دیگه پراپرتی که دارند اونا همه محفوظ است. ما
We will follow law of the land.
نه به خانه کسی ضرورت داریم نه به موتر کسی ضرورت داریم. بیایند وطن عزیز خود با هم از طرف ما هیچ تشویش نداشته باشند.
طالبان का नायब अमीर मुल्ला अब्दुल गनी बिरादर के हमरा 9 अफरादी सियासी ग्रुप कंदहार पहुंच गए। तालिबान के इन सियासी मेंबर्स का कहना है कि आज़ादी इनकी हक थी जो उन्होंने हासिल कर ली। तालिबान ने एक दफ़ा फिर सरकारी अहदेदारों और शहरियों को माफ़ी का ऐलान किया और कहा कि सबको हुकूक फराहम होगी और अफगान सरजमीन किसी के खिलाफ इस्तेमाल नहीं होगी। सदीकुल्ला खान, आज तक कंदहार।
Shown you what the Taliban's stated plan for governance is. We've told you what their law enforcement is going to look like. We've also shown you the experience of women. Now let's show you what's actually happening on the ground in the country. People trying desperately to get out of Afghanistan under Taliban rule is an image that is playing over and over again in different ways. Heartbreaking footage has now emerged of local Afghan parents in Kabul passing their babies, their little babies, infants, onto strangers, little kids being passed on to strangers to reach the front of the queue only in hope that someone could take them to safety out of Afghanistan, even if it is without their parents. That's the level of terrible, pathetic desperation of the people of Afghanistan who live in fear and cannot stomach the thought of living and breathing under another Taliban regime. Watch how these children, crying after being separated from their parents, are being carried by strangers to the front of the queue so that in some strange way, some miraculous way, they might be saved. The gates of the airport are closed and these children and their parents stand no chance at all. And now that the takeover is complete, the Taliban is literally chilling. Images coming out from Kabul and elsewhere are absolutely surreal. India Today's reporter on the ground, Naveed Sultani, has been able to capture some of the most absurd images of the Taliban, usually with their Kalashnikovs, enjoying ice cream, taking over amusement parks, spotted at street corners, with happy smiles on their face. Take a look at this. This is Taliban and chill.
Afghanistan taken over. Now it's time to chill.
The Taliban is coming for the ice cream.
And what better than a scoop of ice cream to cool off? After terrorizing the citizens of Afghanistan, Taliban fighters were spotted at an ice cream parlor in Kabul. But the scoop of Taliban terror is just a tip of the iceberg. There's an uneasy calm in the capital city, from the grocery shops to bird markets. Gun-toting Taliban fighters are everywhere.
By the control of the Taliban, the sick people is come to our shops and they are open his shops and normal life and starting our work after 4 days of the control of the Taliban.
With the Mujahideens in charge, minorities fear persecution. Manjeet Singh, who owns a shop across the road from a Gurdwara, is worried about what the future holds. It's all fun and games right now. But how long before Taliban reveals its true colors? With Naveed Sultani from Kabul, Bureau Report, India Today.